Hi everybody, I am CraftBeer Pinup. I am here today on behalf of Nicholson's Pubs to interview the rather amazing Paul Halsey, who is the CEO of Purity, which I'm sure you're all aware of because their beers are absolutely amazing. Good plug there. So Paul, I'm going to pass over to you because not everybody wants to hear from me. Do you want to give, I guess, your beer story to everyone?
Hi, hello everyone. We're 15 years old this year, which is a massive milestone for us as a business. And my business partner, Jim, God rest his soul, and I'll come back to Jim a bit later. We're both BAS graduates together many moons ago. And we always wanted to do a business together and around modernising beer. And if you go back 15, 16, 17 years ago, Cask beer in particular was our perception of male, sandals, beards, warm in the summer, and not very appealing to particularly a broader, younger, and particularly female audience. And it was very much a kind of feature and a focus of us that we wanted to modernise what we saw traditional beer as, cask beer then, in an environmental and sustainable way. So first stage of that is to do that, we really needed to find a farm, and a farm that could diversify and had plenty of land that we could put wetland systems in so we could become sustainable. And that was the key, because when you brew beer, as we probably all know, or most people know, you need a lot of water. And there's a lot of effluent, there's a lot of waste, which has yeast and chemicals and that, and most of that gets flushed. Most brewers flush it down the sewage and the drains, which is not particularly great, but that's what happens. So we wanted to do that. So it was absolute number one is modernise beer in a sustainable and ecological way. And then the kind of third bit was always about creating beers that are really consistent, great quality, and drinkable ultimately, that you have one, you want to have another one, and you want to have another one. So it just, you're drawn back into time. So that was very much our ethos, being in a rural location on a farm, which was a diversification project. It was a 400-acre livestock farm, so it was sheep, cattle, dairy, a little bit of arable, but not much. And Granville, the farmer, was relatively young. He'd inherited a farm from his father, passed away when his Granville was young, and he wanted to diversify. So he said, look, I'm going to move everything into arable, but I've got these amazing farm buildings, and that was it. And DEFRA helped us. There was a grant for the farmer and us, and they really got behind our sustainability story and what we wanted to do, and about the educational side and about the community. So a big part of what we do is the community. We're really ingrained. You'll know where you live in Leamington. We're very much ingrained into the community in terms of what we do, whether it's sponsoring music, whether it's sports, whether it's art or food. We tend to try and get involved, and we're passionate about it. So that's the kind of story. And a lot of the beer brands that we create and styles of beer are very much related to the animals on the farm.
Get this one.
Yeah, Ubu. So that was Tess the dog, who's no longer with us, but Tess was known locally as Useless Bloody Urchin, and that is our amber ale, and that's one of our first beers, and Gold was one of the two first beers we brewed. And in the first 5 years, we had just a classic brew kit. So it was fully manual, mash, copper, hot back, and we got to capacity within 4 years. And that's when Jim and I had to really make a decision. Are we happy brewing 10,000 barrels or 16,000 hectolitres a year and just leave it at that? That's the price and you pay for it. Or do we invest into a new brew house? And we chose to invest into a big, brand new brew house built in Germany, very environmentally friendly. It's one of the most ecologically friendly brew houses in the world, built by Braucon in Bavaria. So no steam gets out of it, everything gets recirced. And it was a massive investment. And to be honest, it was, I'll not say a leap of faith. We'd got a decent following then. We got a reputation for our beers. We'd won a lot of awards internationally and world beer and locally with CAMRA. So just didn't feel like a big step, but it was. £2 million was a lot of money to spend in a relatively small business. We haven't really looked back, that was 8 years ago. And then it's born. We did it roughly at the same time as craft beer kind of exploded into UK, 5 years ago probably. And off the back of it, we've got Longhorn IPA, named after Longhorn cattle, Bunny Hop, named after the rabbits and my mountain biking. And then you've got Lawless Lager, you've got Hellas, you've got Session IPA. So we've really opened up what we do in terms of the brands and range, the categories we do. We do quite a lot of gluten-free now. So I think we've got 4 brands gluten-free. We're going more vegan. We've got organic. Hellas is organic. So we're kind of embracing that, and it's always something we wanted to do because we feel very ethical. We're looking to join the B Corp as well, so we believe the values that we've got and the environmental kind of values we've got really kind of link into that, and we want to talk more about it to our customers. I think the one kind of downside to us as a business, I think we let the beer do the talking, and I think in the world we live now, and particularly the world you live in, Kimberly, everything's done via social or digital, and we've just got to embrace that more and talk more and bring the story alive, because I think the farm and the ethical, the sustainable, and the beers are it's a brilliant story, and there's not many other brewers in the UK doing what we're doing.
How important is cask to you guys?
It's massive. I think on a personal level, I'm a Cask Ale drinker. I mean, I love craft. I drink anything of quality. I just love booze, if I'm honest. I just like the environment. Yeah, no. I love the pub. I'm an on-trade animal. I just love the pub. When we started, as I said, it was just cask. That's all we did. It was purely cask. 85% of our beer we brewed was cask, and 15% was into packaged bottle in 500 premium bottle ale. That market changed for us 8 years ago when we got a new brew house, getting able to do keg, unfiltered and pasteurised, gluten-free, vegan. Yeah, so we've seen a massive change. And if I talk about it pre-COVID, I think, rather than post and in COVID, it's because the whole market, as you know, the categories took a pounding, and particularly cask beers took a pounding. So we would look at our mix, and if you look at our kind of brand mix in terms of cask versus keg, I'd probably say we're 60% cask and 40% keg. But the highest growth we're seeing is in keg and in can, in particularly 33 CLs and 500s. We're moving those to 440s. So we see where the market's going, but my passion, and we're talking about Cask Ale, is cask beer. And it's, as you all know, Kimberly, it's unique to the on-trade. It's something that is unique to the UK, particularly England, that kind of style. I just don't think we should lose it. I think craft beer has created some damage in a way to it, because a lot of people that might have been cask ale drinking, not sure, have gone into craft keg, and it's keg, so it's a lot easier to look after. You do need a level of expertise to look after cask, and not everyone's got it, if I'm honest, and some bars and pubs range too much, so there's too much of a broad range, and it's not quality driven. I've never had a better drink experience than the best pint of cask beer in my life. When I've had that, when you have it, it's just wonderful. So we as a company are absolutely passionate about cask beer, and we truly believe in it. It's got to be quality driven. So, you can't be having a cask on for more than 3 days. It has to be less than 3 days and sold. You've got to be passionate. You've got to educate. We do a lot of training. We do pure quality training at the brewery. We go on site to pubs. We've got a couple of guys that work with us on that. And it's in our DNA. You will be remembered as a brand by that experience that consumer has of your beer on that day. So, and you can get cask wrong. So we have to really invest in it. It's not for everyone. It's not for every bar, and it shouldn't be in every bar, in my opinion.
How can we reignite the passion that you have when someone's standing at the bar and they're like, what shall I choose?
Yeah, and I think, look, it's a bit odd, this. I've done it 40 years now, and I think I understand it, but I always think if the person that runs that pub is passionate about cask and drinks cask, their cask is going to be good because they drink it, and you see it, and you'll know that from the environment you work in. If they're not, and they feel they have to have it on there because it's a category, and it kind of, I think you have to be passionate about cask, and I think that comes from the ownership, the people that run the pub. If they're passionate about it, 9 times out of 10, that cask is going to be decent. And then it's almost like a radar. People know about it and they tell other people, and it's word of mouth. So I kind of feel that, like I said earlier, it's not for everyone, cask. It's not for every pub, but the ones that can do it really well. I kind of feel we are in a difficult time with cask, because I think with the pubs in the current situation at, say, 50% capacity, some of the pubs just can't get the throughput on it. So if you're new to it, the category, and it's the first time you tried it, and it's slightly dull, flat, not got the right condition, maybe a slight bit of oxidation, it's not brilliant. And I think it's that first experience. If you drink cask the first time and you have that most amazing experience, you'll stay to it. If you don't, you'll just go back to keg and you'll go to Guinness or whatever you drink. And it's down to, I think, the entree to kind of really now look at cask and nurture it. And to me, it's got to be in the right places. The experience has got to be exceptional. And I don't think there'll be a problem attracting. We know from our segmentation and our customers that drink our beer, and we see stuff through social data that we get, that we've got a lot of women that drink our beer, enjoy our beer, a lot drink our cask beer. We do kind of try and serve our beer about 2 degrees less than most cask beers. So you'll see our beers around 8 to 7 degrees, which I know with cask mark and some of them are going to get not comfortable with that. I always believe, look, your beer can warm up in a glass. You can't cool a warm beer down, a cask beer. So I don't have a problem with it. And we know that younger people like that. They like a chilled product. And as long as it's not throwing out a massive chill haze, it's great. And now a lot of cask beers are kind of hazy anyway. So it doesn't really make a great deal of difference, because we're not using finings or isinglass in the beer. So yeah, look, I think it's at a crossroads. There's no doubt in my mind, cask beer, but we're absolutely committed to it, and we believe we can still grow what we're doing with it. Although we've seen the emergence and growth of our keg and can, we're still seeing, considering the decline in cask, we're still seeing growth versus decline.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. I guess, you talk about trying cask for the first time and that experience being really pivotal. What for you was, I guess, the gateway cask experience on a personal level?
It was boxes.
Did you say boxes?
Boxes. Yeah, with my dad.
My neck of the woods.
Yeah, I never forget it. I was 15. Dad took me to this pub on the way back from somewhere, and had a pint of Bunksy's Mild, as it was. I just really enjoyed it. It was a nice creamy hair, big thick head on it, and yeah, I've always enjoyed cask. I'm very promiscuous on drink. I just like quality, and I have keg. I like whiskey. I like wine, but if it's good cask, that's what I'm going to go to every time. I just love cask beer because it's something you can drink a few of as well. And keg to me, although I enjoy a lot of the craft kegs and the more experimental side, it's really enjoyable to go down that route and educate yourself. You just can't drink a lot of that. I'm not saying I'm a massive drinker, but cask, good condition, you can drink a few.
Yeah, definitely. So it's Purity's 15th birthday this year, which is incredible. What are the elements that have kind of made you that successful and given you that longevity?
I think sticking to what we do and doing it really well and not getting sidetracked. I think, in that period we've gone for a recession, COVID, I'll come to Jim in a sec, and other things, the emergence of craft, you could have got distracted massively and say, right, we're going to drop cask, we're going to go down this route. And like I said before, it's our DNA, cask beer. So sticking to what we're about, ethical, sustainable, great quality, great consistent drinkability, and understanding the market and being able to move with the market, but not trying to be a fad. We're not a fad, but we do appeal to quite a broad audience. And most cask, I'd say, probably sits in a category of 50 and above. We're not seeing that with our brands. We've got probably 50% of our consumers between 24 and to 50, which is quite a big slug. and it's not 50-50 female, but there's a fair few women that really enjoy the styles and what we do in beer. So about staying relevant, but it's equally as good. So we're seeing a big surge in gluten-free and vegan and organic. And we've got a pure bar in Brum, and 3 years ago we just couldn't buy a decent gluten beer. I mean, we were getting gluten beers, so I was getting from distributors, and they were just shocking. Now with technology and enzyme technology, you can go out and get some decent. And we're seeing people that are not gluten intolerant, they're just making these decisions for health reasons. I just think it's healthier. And look, equally exciting, the no low we've seen. So we've got a 3.5 Bunny Hop that, if you went, I remember my drinking days with my dad, I think I can't Banksy's Mild or Fast Light or whatever, they're 3%. Didn't taste of anything. There was no hop in it, but they're very drinkable. Nice creamy head. It was more the kind of what it looked like in the glass, and you had a few. You can create a beer at 3.5 now with bags of flavour in it, and through hop utilisation, the different styles of hops, a little bit of oats in it, and Bunny Hop. You wouldn't know it was 3.5. It's an unbelievable flavoursome beer. So there's a lot of interesting choice now, and I think we have been very focused on what we do. We're not distracted. We try and stay relevant. But, sustainability, our community is just at the heart of what we do.
I know that, we're operating under different times in terms of pubs and the general experience due to kind of different restrictions and those changing all the time. But I guess when we talk about cask, and a good experience, for me, it kind of is something where, you're sitting there and you want to savour it. For me, it's not like a quick drink. It's almost like, I want to savor that experience and I want to have some food with it. And, it's as much about the person that I'm with and I'm having that experience with. So I guess, would it be kind of more positive to say that in some circumstances, the changes and the people going out to savor their experiences more and enjoy their time in the pub is a little bit suited to cask more?
Yeah, and I think, well, the data shows it for a start. So the Cask Ale drinker is a more discerning drinker, a fact of life, and we know that. And I think what we have single-handedly tried to, when we modernise cask beer, is done a lot of work with food around it. So I think we've got 8 Michelin-star restaurants. We do all the beers in there, and we do beer and food matching. So whether it's Simpsons or the Cross or Carter's in Moseley, we're heavily involved in that. And I think for me, it was not just modernising cask, it was elevating cask. Because I think cask had a bad rep. I worked for Bass, and our focus was purely on cores, Carling. Draft Bass, Stoneses, Brew 11 didn't get any investment, no marketing investment. And it was just there to die. It was priced low, and it created the wrong a kind of brand opinion. It's devalued. And I think we've gone about and said, no, cask beer can be an amazing experience. If it's premiumised, you elevate it, you match it with food, you get it in the right. But like you say, it's something that's savoured. And
have you got any swift recommendations for any amazing food matches for your beers?
I think look, Ubu is a darker amber ale, and it's got like berry fruits in it, so it goes well with red meat. So if you wanted to make a rich stew or you wanted it with a steak, it's just perfect. It's perfect with cheddar, like a strong cheddar as well. It's just one of those, goes really well. Gold is a lighter, it's lager kind of style colour, and it's very dry, quite bitter, but a nice hop aroma into it. It's got a bit of citra in there, and that goes with kind of more savoury, spicy. So Mexican goes well with fish and chips. It's this kind of dryness, a little bit of bitterness cuts for the oil and the fat into it. Goose is, again, I put it with white meat, and that's light copper, got a Willamette and Cascade in there, and it's kind of American style pale ale. So that would go nice with, say, with a burger. It goes nice with chicken, kind of white pork, white meats essentially, and again a bit spicy. So yeah, I think, and on our website we used to kind of match kind of like some of the menus as well. We're just updating at the moment, but I do think you're right that kind of beer needs to, cask beer in particular, and beer in general needs to elevate, particularly regional brewers like ourselves. And kind of more kind of me. I mean, we're just a small player versus the big boys out there, but you just need to elevate it and create interest. And I think beer and food matching is just one of those.
All I know is my belly is rumbling now. So I guess that leaves us kind of on a positive note. Obviously, we can't predict what is going to happen in the immediate future, but I guess if all being well and things going, you kind of sticking to your plans. What does the future hold for Purity to ensure that you have another 15 years?
Yeah, no, look, and I think that leads in a little bit about Jim, really. So Jim, who's my business partner, sadly passed away in June after a very short illness to pancreatic cancer. So Jim and I have been best buddies since graduates at Bass, and we formed the business together. And it was equally our vision to create Purity and what it stands for today. So absolutely, my number one aim over the next 5 years in particular is to create a legacy and a succession to Jim and his family, and for what we've done. So carry on doing what we're doing, ingrain ourselves more in the community, keep elevating beer, brew consistent beer, be sustainable at heart, and just work harder at our sustainability and our carbon footprint, because it's really, really important that we care about our planet and our community. And it's a given that we're just going to brew bloody great beer, and we're going to carry on doing it. And we're going to carry on growing the business, but growing it in the right areas. So it's going to be a mixture of e-commerce, on-trade, grocery, export, but not trying to take over the world, but just grow with the right people and protect what we're about as a business and our values ultimately.
It's been amazing to finally get to speak to you and have this time. Hopefully next time we'll be in the pub and we can do this again. Is there anything that you want to leave us with?
It's shit, really, isn't it? Because you can't go to the pub like you used to. And I love the pub. I love sport, so I miss me football, going to watch the Villa play. I like going to the rugby. And I love music, so I'm a regular at the Hare and Hounds. I can't go and see bands I like. And it's kind of like part of my life just being taken. And obviously this stuff happens with Jim. You think, it can't get any worse, can it? And then this comes along and it just kind of drags out. But, eternal optimist, and just wanted to get back to kind of some normality. And look, really excited about the future. There's got some 15th birthday stuff coming, but we'll tell you that next time in keg and can. And we've done some barrel aging, and there's lots going on. But the main thing that we're focusing on is protecting our business, protecting our people, and protecting our community.
Yeah, and I think it's quite interesting what you said about things have changed and we don't know, there might not be that normal again. So, it's a really important time, as you've said, for Cask Ale and to support, kind of local brewers and, actually, I guess be passionate about the products and the companies that you love and, invest in them right now, because I think everybody needs the love.
Again, as a saying I've heard numerous times within certain circles, is purpose over profit. And I think you're seeing a lot of consumers really look at themselves through this pandemic and saying, how I behave and what I did before, I don't want to do that anymore, because it was all driven by money and whatever, and house and car and all this. They're suddenly having a look at themselves and say, right, I need to change, I want to change. And I just think, purpose over profit. And, ultimately, those brands that understand their consumers and are loyal to them, and they kind of consumer relates to them, are going to be successful.
Yeah. And I think that kind of plays in really well with your kind of brewed responsibly and I guess crafted with conscience, because, we're kind of seeing that more and more online. And I guess, as you said, the brands that you certainly have more of an affinity with are the ones that are kind of true, authentic. So I think, the future looks good for you guys. And
I think, look, the other thing to that, there's a lot of people that talk about it and it's in their mission statements. There's not many people that do it. And, we live and breathe it, and it's in our DNA. And you come to our brewery, you just see it oozes out of everything we do. So in a nice way, in the wetlands, not oozing.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Thank you very much. Hopefully I'll meet you for a pint soon.
Absolutely. You're truly invited up to the Pure Bar when we can come anytime anyways.